Well, hey guys, welcome to video 3 for the Creative Sound Lab Mix Challenge. Um, I just wanted to make some of these videos just for you guys. I'm not going to publish them on YouTube. They're just for you. They're a private video for this group, and really in response to some of the different issues that I've seen and heard, some of the questions that you guys have asked. My main goal for the Mix Challenge was really for it to be a challenge for you guys, and there was really nothing else. I was just trying to follow through with the promise that I said in my public videos that I'd have a place for you guys to talk about different ideas and for me to hear different mixes that you guys are doing. So it was really just to make good on my promise to you guys that I would provide a place. So I'm really glad you've been a part of it. You're welcome to continue to post mixes and keep commenting on other folks when they post mixes. Every couple of days, I'm going to be having some time set aside to listen to new mixes. So I know actually there's a few that I got to listen to as of yet. So every mix will get a listen from me here in the studio and a intelligent and thoughtful and hopefully very helpful comment on your mix and maybe some improvements you can make. But today is about EQ. Now, the biggest thing I heard was that you could hear the sound of either your speakers or the sound of your room in your mixes, and you can just go down the line and hear like like if you were just to play white noise, like you could actually hear like all the shifts and frequencies and stuff. It was crazy. So I know I'm being ridiculous, but that to my ears, that's what it sounded like. Because I would listen, to like 10 mixes at a time, and sometimes the high end would be like, and other times like the cymbals would be like. So I can hear how your monitors are affecting your perception. Now, I think we got pretty much the same ears. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there with like golden ears. I think what they do have is experience. They have the knowledge of how to combat issues that maybe you're experiencing during this challenge. So my hope is these videos will help you to gain that experience and a little bit of mentorship from myself and hopefully develop your ears a little bit more. But I don't think that you should count yourself out of the ability to make a great mix. I think within the year, within the next couple weeks even, if I were to just walk you through a few different things, then I believe you could vastly improve, even with your current setup, with your current equipment. I really do believe that you have the skills that it takes. You have the equipment of what you need. You just need a little guidance and a little bit of direction. So one thing and a piece of advice before we begin is to listen at low volumes and to use volume as a tool. So always make judgments at low volumes, because if it's going to sound great at low volumes, it'll always sound great at a high volume. You can use volume as a tool. So check the low end at a high volume, check the low end at a low volume, and see what pokes out. Sometimes I listen to at a high volume to check the low end of the vocal, for example. Sometimes I also will actually check the low end of the snare at a high volume to compare it to the low end of the kick, So those are some of the things I do at high volumes. But at low volumes, I'll check the balance, the levels of things. So is something really like crazy, like the toms? Are they crazy loud? That's something that usually would jump out at a low volume. The other thing you can do is develop reference points within your room. So put on your favorite music and stand in different points of the room and listen to the kick drum and the bass guitar and see what jumps out. Is there any point in the room that it sounds really nice? It's probably going to be different from where you usually sit to mix. So the idea is to use a secondary point to check the low end. So you learn kind of what the low end sounds like in your seat. Then you check to see what the low end sounds like in that spot. So when you mix, you're trying to judge the frequencies. How loud is my kick drum actually? I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this. Well, go ahead and check it in your reference point to see. Now, speaking of volume as a tool, the louder your speakers are, the more your room tends to interact with your room. So that's another reason why listen at low volumes. But yeah, listen at low volumes and have a reference point. So for this video tutorial, really on EQ, I'm going to be kind of at a middle point for volume. I know about the effects of volume, so I know how to kind of listen for it, and I do have some experience in volume and with my ears, with the Fletcher-Munson effect, all that. So you do get less prone to its effects, and you do get tricked less often by the room, by volume itself. If you're mixing on headphones, it's very, very hard because just even a medium volume, it tends to kind of be very deceptive as far as how much low end is actually in your mix. Okay, just something to think about. So today I'll be at a medium volume, but let's go ahead and get started. So the idea here is really just to listen for problems. Okay, so there's so many other areas that you can be shaping tone. Like I gave you different pickups for the guitars, like bridge, and neck, and then a combo of them both. You can be changing the tone of the guitar amp. You can be changing the tone on the guitar, which obviously you don't have that option, but there's so many different ways that we can be shaping the tone before this point. So hopefully it's like 80% of the way there, 90% of the way there. Not to say that these tracks are the only way and the only interpretation. I really enjoyed hearing your interpretation. So some of you have reamped using like Marshall amps and stuff, or amp sims with a kind of a Marshall sound. That's awesome. I hope that you change the tone on the amp setting versus leave it really like dull sounding and then jack up the high end in EQ. I much rather do it at the source is my point. So the idea is to get your tracks as good as possible without EQ. Okay. So we've added compression last video. Now we're adding EQ to kind of tip it the rest of the way and get the stuff we have to translate a little better. Okay. So let's listen to see if there's any issues that we kind of hear.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go. Are you tripping down a staircase? Slip glass slippers on your toes.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there's actually a lot of kind of like kind of going on, right? So what you do is you just kind of think to yourself, where could the problem be? And then go looking for it. Okay? So I think it's probably in the bass. Okay? Yeah, there's definitely some stuff going on there that's kind of that deal, right? So if you're not used to knowing where stuff might be in EQ and as far as frequencies, go ahead and use a boost and sweep and kind of search for the problem and make it sound worse, make it sound really bad, and then you'll know you have found the problem. And then from there, just go straight down and reduce it, okay? So that's kind of stuff that could be interfering with maybe the vocal or the guitar. And I want the bass to be nice and full, like rich sounding. So what if we just reduced the stuff we don't like and left the stuff that we liked? And that enables us to raise the volume then, getting more good stuff that we like. And so we have some flexibility. We have a wider range of how far we can push something. So, yeah, that kind of works, okay? So it's just keep repeating this process, okay? It's really not too complicated. The idea is to look for problems and then go after them. If the problem isn't there, then don't try to make it out that there should be a problem. I'm listening in context. I'm trying to figure out where that problem might be, and then I go attack it, okay?
Now you got someplace else to go.
Okay, same problem in the vocal. Okay, let's have a listen.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go.
Okay, that sounds pretty bad. Okay, now this other EQ, yeah, I was poking around in here earlier, trying to kind of look out for different things and make sure I didn't waste your guys' time. But yeah, right there. Okay, so try to make it sound as bad as possible, and then let's see here, gain. So without touching the frequency, I can just use the fader here and just go down with it.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go.
Yeah, cleaned it right up. It's just really, it's almost smoother, okay? It's just a little bit easier. And that could be mixed in at a louder volume, because now all of a sudden the louder, if we want to make our vocal louder, it doesn't mean that our mix all of a sudden is more muddy, okay? Same kind of thing with the dry, the clean vocal.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go.
Okay.
Oh, you're tripping down a staircase.
I mean, not too much,
Stair glass.
but I'll just do a little, okay? Just a little. Okay, now let's have another listen in context for problems.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go.
Okay, now that one problem's gone, it exposes another problem. Okay, it just keeps going. Okay, look for problems, go find it. So here, I bet you it's in that that kind of room track that I have going on. So obviously you kind of saw the answer there because I was in here earlier messing with this. But let's just have a listen for what's causing the mud, the clarity. We're looking to try to translate this better. So yeah, it's all in there. It's just like, woo, you know. So it's just not going to translate as good, okay? It's going to keep people from hearing the music as good as it could. The idea there, creatively, is still there, but we're just trying to help carry it along a little bit.
Girl, you had me right at midnight. Now you got someplace else to go. Oh, you're tripping down a staircase.
Yeah, so the idea is just the same throughout the mix. Just keep doing this. I wouldn't be surprised if on any mix I don't do this for maybe a third of the tracks, okay? Maybe, I wouldn't say half the tracks, but probably about a third to maybe 25% of the tracks get some sort of like, hey, there's a little bit of an issue here. Let me just take a little bit down at that specific point, okay? And it's not like too crazy. It's just a little bit here as I hear it in context, okay? I don't typically like solo a track and then I say, how can I make this sound amazing, right? That's not my approach, okay? Instead, I say, you know what? Let's just see what it sounds like all together, and then let's see if there's any issues with that. If there's no issue, then we'll get to that, okay? EQ for sweetening, okay? That's really the last step. But instead, I'm just looking for problems first, okay? Second step is, it's kind of a rule, is don't mess with the mid-range, okay? Try not to. The more you start to jack with that mid-range and say, you know what, I'm going to go in here to the vocal and, you know, add some like, you know, let's pull up some of this frequency, but then let's dip it down here, you know, and then we're going to add some highs to make it real clear sound, right? And, you know, this just isn't going to come out very good. There's just too much going on. So the less you can do, especially between the frequencies of 300 to about 8K, okay? Let's say 5 or 6K. So 300 to 5 or 6K. Just don't mess with it, okay? If you do mess with it, it could really make something sound bad in a hurry, okay? Sometimes for a vocal, I will actually do a little push, like at just to kind of make something cut a little bit, just to make it a little more edgy sounding. But it's real slight, right? It's real slight. And, maybe if it were a certain plugin that has a flavor like the Neve UAD plugin, or it's like the Pultecs behind me here that are known to have a nice ability to push and pull without it sounding terrible, then I might do it. But with, onboard stuff like this, don't get too crazy with the mid-range, okay? You got to let the mic determine the flavor of what's going on. So like this mic here has a sound versus like a 414 has a sound. And the mid-range is like a sacred territory. That's why the SM7, the SM57, they just work because they got a good mid-range. Okay, the mid-range is what always, in a way, matters most. You're always going to hear the mid-range, and no matter what system you're playing it in, the low end and the high end is there just to kind of support the mid-range and to add clarity to that mid-range. So mid-range contains all the instruments. It contains the harmonic content of the bass. It contains the subtle details of the kick drum, like the type of coating and if the bass drum is even dampened. It contains the snares of the snare drum, even the fullness and second, third, fourth harmonic of that snare drum. It contains all of the guitar. It contains the human voice. It contains a lot of the cymbals. So the mid-range really glues everything together. And if you're going to mess with the mid-range, the song literally can just fall apart. So that's a big secret. Is just don't touch between 3 to like 5K. Okay? Just try not to touch it. So from here, going along with this idea is to add kind of a utility function of EQ, and that is like a high or low pass. So, for example, you have something that really doesn't need the low end, so you do a high pass. So can do both the guitars need anything below about 100 or 150? Let's see. So right there, it sounded unnatural. That was too far. Okay, so let's hear that again, okay? Too far, it sounds unnatural. You're just trying to just clean it up a little bit. Okay, just a little bit of those low frequencies are gone. They're on the sides, okay? So it just helps clean it up just a little bit, okay? It's almost to the point where it's almost like it's not there. Let's have a listen on this track. You see what I mean? There's a little bit of low in there. It just took it out. Same thing with the highs. We could also apply a low pass to the highs. So we just go low pass. We just want a nice, gentle, something like that. And don't be afraid to cut a little bit off for some flavor. It's okay to develop a particular flavor. Piano is great for this. You can really narrow a piano to get a honky sound. It does not need all the high end, for example. Vocal in the low end, you probably don't need anything below, 120 or so. Hi-hat, you don't really need anything below about 500. So this is a utility function of EQ that you can be going through and really cleaning up the mix without messing with the mid-range, okay? Okay, so our last type of EQ is for sweetening, and the best place to really sweeten something up is, maybe in something like the floor tom where we want to do, we've already done a reductive kind of deal, but we also want just a little bit more of its fundamental, for example, so we add it in, okay? Another great place is like kick drum, if we don't have a sub kick. we can be adding that in as well. Just maybe something, just subtly, but something kind of maybe right in here, and be careful with this. But yeah, we can just be adding a little bit in for sweetening. Actually, we can be adding a little bit in at like 3K for the attack of the drum. These are typical things that I actually do additive EQ, where I'm boosting. Okay, it's usually a better practice to reduce, but these are some cases that I do actually do some boosting. Maybe for overheads, I do a very subtle boost. Okay, maybe it's very gentle. Okay, very gentle, right? You can also get the same effect. Probably a better technique is to take out all the crap that you don't want. Okay, the muddiness, kind of right in there, 300, 500 kind of range. Okay, but keep in mind that a lot of this is the drum sound. Okay, at least how I engineer, a lot of the overhead can contribute to the fullness of the drum. So once again, messing with the mid range, not a good idea. You're getting into more than you know. So, the less you can do, the better. Okay. So yeah, maybe for overheads, because you don't want to mess up the tone of maybe the depth of the snare and things like that. Maybe just a little bit. Okay, just a little. Okay. So those are some cases where I would boost. Okay. So those are just some of my rules, some of my approaches. Okay. I look for problems. I avoid messing with the mid range. I do some utility EQ, which is like high or low pass. Okay, once again, not messing with that mid range, and then I EQ for sweetening. And I guess the question is, well, how do you know when to do different things and when? Well, really, how do you get better at this? So, quick answer is, I believe everybody has the ability, but it just takes time. It takes some practice. It takes some guidance. So I think that every single one of you can be great at recording, great at mixing. It just takes some time to learn your speakers, learn your room, learn what to listen for, and learn what to avoid. So here's the deal. Just seeing how you guys have interacted, and I haven't planned on doing this. My goal was to open up the Creative Sound Lab Mix Challenge as a follow-through on something I told you guys that I would do. So I did it. But after seeing kind of, wow, this is really helpful. Somebody just posted today, this is the best like mix training that he's ever gotten. So after seeing stuff like that, what I've decided to do is open up a course. The Mix Challenge here, I'll keep this active, but as far as a course goes, as far as something that's structured, that can really help you learn very quickly. I'm not sure when the next time that it'll be, but I'm going to be opening up today and then starting it on Friday and doing it for 4 weeks. We're going to be doing a song a week, so 4 songs in 4 weeks. And it's going to be really cool. Each week we're going to have a song, we're going to have videos. I'm going to create videos as we go along, and we're going to be mixing the song. I'll give you the tracks on a Friday. Send the track back to me by like a Wednesday or a Thursday at the latest. I'll spit a mix review right back to you. And then next Friday we do it all over again. We do it 4 weeks in a row. Many of you submitted like 3 mixes, I think, on the same song. And each time you did it, you got better. So that's just a proven concept. The more you do it, the more experience that you get, the better you get, especially with something like adding EQ, the better it is that you're going to get at it. So here's kind of the deal here's the main course here. 4 songs in 4 weeks, new track every Friday, send me your mixes on Wednesdays, mix review back to you on Thursday, and then we do it all over again. Here's the different 4 weeks. Go ahead, open this up here. Here's the raw track download that's available on each Friday. And I even give a video on how to import the tracks just to make sure everybody knows how to do that. Then from here, let me go back. Lesson 2, like here's a video. So I have 8 different topics that I'll be covering for each week. So here's one video, what to listen for in the raw tracks, okay? Exactly how do you know which direction to go for and the mixes, okay? That's kind of a key concept, because if you just start going one direction, there's a lot that you could learn just by listening and being intuitive. So everything is, high def. It's a Vimeo, so it's higher quality than YouTube. I have two different options that I'm making available for this, and this will take me some time. I have a family that I'm responsible for supporting, so I can't do everything for free. Okay, so right now I have it at 147, 4 songs in 4 weeks. At some point, I'll be doing like mix reviews for like $67 a piece. So right off the bat, it's a much better deal. Plus, you get all the videos, 8 different lessons per week that we could be going through. So it's much more than just a mix review, but it's the video lessons as well. And if you really want to up your game, I have the 10 extra songs, and that's at $247. So there's a couple different options for you. Now, the mix reviews, they're a 10-point inspection on each mix. So every Thursday, I want to be returning to you a typed out PDF mix review, a 10-point inspection on your mix, okay? What I've done for you in the Creative Sound Lab Mix Challenge has been awesome. It's been a paragraph. And so I've seen your response to that, and I said, you know what? This is really kind of cool, and it's really working. So starting right now through Friday, you can be signing up for this. If you want to participate and get in on the action, I'd love for you to join me. I will be closing it on Friday because we're going to be doing it as a class. So it'll be only for the next couple days. If you want to get in on it, awesome. I'd love to have you. As far as when I'll be doing it next, I'm really not sure. It could be, it's definitely not going to be any earlier than a month. It'll probably be several months. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I really hope that the Creative Sound Lab Mix Challenge has been amazing for you guys. Keep posting, keep commenting on others' mixes. I'll see you soon.